When the Focke-wulf 190 made its maiden flight in June 1939, it was undoubtedly the most advanced combat aeroplane in the world. Heavy firepower and a staggering level of performance gave this small radial-engined machine the potential to outclass every contemporary Allied fighter. When it entered service in 1941, it was immediately successful, inflicting such heavy losses on its opponents that it soon became known as the Butcher Bird. During a career that lasted for 4 years, the FW-190 served in every German theatre of war from North Africa to Russia. It became the Luftwaffe's second most numerous frontline aircraft and one of the most successful fighters of the era. It proved to be so versatile that it could perform equally well in a variety of roles, and by the end of the war, nearly 20,000 examples had been built. In addition to numerous fighter and fighter-bomber variants, other versions appeared as ground attack aircraft, torpedo fighters, night fighters, trainers, and reconnaissance machines. By 1945, the Focke-wulf 190 had earned the respect of German and Allied airmen alike. Many considered it to be the finest piston-engined aircraft to enter service with the Luftwaffe. And unlike the Bf-109, which had long since exceeded its development potential, Kurt Tank's masterpiece remained a formidable opponent for all but the best of Allied fighters. After completion of the first 2 prototypes, progress was made at a much slower rate. With the Messerschmitt 109 already well established, the German Air Ministry treated the Focke-wulf with little sense of urgency. Modifications and testing continued throughout the whole of 1940. The third prototype was fitted with the more powerful BMW 801 engine, while other machines were flown with both large and small versions of the twin-spar wing. Engine problems persisted, but by the end of the year the Focke-wulf had become a top priority. If it was to go into mass production, a decision had to be made. Before committing itself, the Air Ministry ordered a series of comparison trials to be carried out during 1941. In March, a team of experienced personnel from JG-26, supported by a group of engineers from Focke-wulf, began exhaustive testing at an airfield near Rechlin. During the next few months, they completed an entire evaluation program involving the FW-190A pre-production aircraft and the Bf-109F. By the end of November, JG-26, under the command of Adolf Galland, had tested the 190s under operational conditions. In the very first sortie over the Dunkirk area, they clashed with a stronger formation of Spitfires. And even though they were heavily outnumbered, the 190s still managed to shoot down 3 of the British machines. On the 10th of December, the Rechlin assessment team issued its report. At ground level, the Focke-wulf proved to be the faster machine, and at heights of 4,000 to 5,000 meters, it was almost as fast as the Messerschmitt. At high altitudes, its performance fell off sharply, and the Messerschmitt became the faster of the two by some 20 kilometers per hour. In a dive from any altitude, the 190 could outrun the 109 with ease, but in a climb situation, it was markedly inferior. And in terms of maneuverability, it completely outclassed the 109. With light, positive flying controls making it much easier to handle, the Focke-wulf could outturn and outroll the Messerschmitt at any speed.
I liked that 190 very much. It was a much better airplane than the 109. You could curve it, you could fly fast, high, you could practically do everything with that aircraft. Was wonderful. So only a handicap, what had happened with the 190, when you take that plane out to your takeoff, you couldn't see very much. So that very large radial engine took away your vision. And but you get used to it, so you be more careful. But flying that plane, it was a lot of fun.
In spite of its greater weight, good all-round visibility and a wide, robust undercarriage made it extremely safe for both takeoff and landing. This was in sharp contrast to the 109, whose unstable, narrow-tracked undercarriage made it notoriously difficult to land. Setting the Messerschmitt down on a soft or bumpy surface proved to be an extremely dangerous exercise, and many trainee pilots were killed while attempting to make their very first landing. Careful design and planning made the 190 an easy aircraft to maintain in the field. And an efficient method of construction, using separately built sections, ensured that it was both quick and simple to produce. It was immensely strong, and even in an emergency belly landing, the airframe usually suffered little or no major damage. Armor protection was provided for both the pilot and the engine. And with a basic weapons load of 6 machine guns, the Focke-wulf easily outgunned the Messerschmitt.
I named the 109 a Florette and the 190 a Sabre. The 190 was a rocket aircraft, but the 190 had a very good setup of weapons. They had 4 weapons around the engine, or very close to the engine, and you can find that the serious kills in a day, up to 13, 14, like Novotny had, were done with a 190.
In their final analysis, the test team reported that in spite of its unreliable engine, the FW-190 was far less vulnerable in combat and had several significant advantages over the Bf-109F.
Die Focke-wulf hatte einen recht starken Motor und war auch in sich sehr...
The Focke-wulf had a very strong engine and in itself was very robust and well built. It coped very well with being shot at, probably more so than the Me-109. The Focke-wulf had an air-cooled engine and the Me-109 had a liquid-cooled engine, which meant that if, for instance, some shrapnel damaged the cooling system, the Me-109 couldn't continue, whereas the Focke-wulf with its air-cooled system could.
Sie war etwas schneller in Bodennähe, das heißt,
the Focke-wulf was faster at lower levels, for instance, up to 6,000 meters, but above that the Me-109 was superior. Most of the airfights usually happened below 6,000 meters, which meant that the Focke-wulf had the advantage. It was much more robust than the Me-109, but some of the shortcomings were, for instance, that when dive bombing, because of the air-cooled system, depending on the speed, it would open up and therefore affect the stability of the aeroplane in the air. Sometimes the aircraft would tilt to one side and you could find yourself in a helpless situation. You had no control over it and it would be very difficult to right again.
By the end of the year, the RLM had placed a large order for more than 400 machines. Other orders followed, and before long, demand had exceeded the capacity of the Focke-wulf factory. By the spring of 1942, it had reached the level of 250 machines a month. First deliveries went to JG-26, and within a few weeks, the wing had 3 190 groups fully operational. Their appearance in the skies over the Channel Coast area came as a complete surprise to the RAF. The Focke-wulf completely outclassed the Spitfire Mark V, and after scoring several notable successes, it became known to its opponents as the Butcher Bird.